Hello, YouTube. I'm Vince White. I'm an employment attorney, and on this channel, we answer publicly posted questions from YouTube users, getting folks the answer they need from an employment attorney. We have a question here from YouTube user Cats in the Cradle Q6U, who asks us, what if you had requested accommodation, but were never given it? So I'm going to assume accommodation in the workplace, and they never gave it to you. Can you be fired for issues your disability is causing while waiting on the accommodation? The employer readily admitted to all of this and does not claim it is a hardship to provide the accommodation. They just claim the disability is unprofessional. Interesting. Example, abruptly leaving a meeting to get emergency insulin is unprofessional. That's a bold statement. So we'll read that one more time. Example, abruptly leaving a meeting to get emergency insulin is unprofessional. The employee needs to control their glucose better. They claim they gave the employee a month to improve their disability-related issues, but did not provide any accommodation. Okay, so we have a general answer, and then we have a diabetes-specific answer. The largest, most overarching version of your question is, hey, I request an accommodation. It has not been given to me yet. Can I be fired for issues arising from that failure to accommodate? And I would say if you are fired or experience any negative workplace consequence as an issue of you not receiving an accommodation, schedule 3 to 5 free consultations with local employment attorneys. That is potentially a claim that you should be discussing with attorneys. Very simple answer. Now, you give a very specific example. And your very specific example is a little more complex than the simple overarching answer. So you gave the example of somebody who has, I believe, diabetes and needs insulin. And you're leaving meetings abruptly because, and I think this is a hypothetical, right? You're leaving meetings abruptly because you need emergency insulin. Now, listen, does that happen to diabetics? Yes, without question. That can happen from time to time. And I don't have diabetes, I'm not a doctor. I know some people with diabetes, and I've done a lot of cases for people with diabetes, and the accommodations that, that condition requires. Here's the deal. There are different forms of diabetes. Diabetes takes different symptom sets, I guess we'd call it. And some people have more trouble controlling their sugar than others. However, there's also a lot of people who don't engage with their diabetes in a responsible manner. So there's a lot of people who will like slam a bunch of candy bars and then not really think about it and then be like, oh my God, I need my insulin. You're like, well, yeah, you choke down a couple 1,000 grams of sugar or whatever it was, like a gram of sugar in a sitting, right? And it's just like, well, yeah, you're trying to kill yourself and go blind and like get your foot amputated, right? And I'm not attacking the diabetics, but like that's something your employer might be like, hey, you know how you keep having to leave work with these diabetic shock incidences that the ambulance keeps coming. We did notice that you're eating 3 candy bars and a pound of white rice for lunch every day with no fiber, no protein, and improper hydration, and you're not seemingly taking your sugar until you're like really out of it and you're having trouble communicating, and we have to call the ambulance for you. And if you like, we're happy to accommodate you if you need like an extra 10 minutes on your lunch break to do some testing of your sugar and figure out what kind of insulin you might need. But it's hard for us to have you apparently like purposely put yourself in a diabetic shock every day, which one, we think is going to kill you, and we're terrified for that. We don't want you to die. But two, you do have a job. We do need you to do the job, and it seems like you are effectively, purposely rendering yourself incapable of doing the job on the regular, and that's weird to watch. It's weird to watch because it's going to do horrible things to you, And also it's weird to watch because like we know that when you eat the 3 candy bars and the pound of white rice for lunch that you're not going to be able to work for the rest of the day. And that's a choice you're making. Like you're an intelligent person, you've had doctors give you resources, you understand the fundamentals of digesting sugar, and you're doing this on purpose so far as we can tell, and like that's hard for us because we need you to fulfill the duties of your job. You can see the complexities of litigation around diabetes, right? And you then get an argument like, well, no, they're not eating 3 candy bars and a pound of rice at lunch every day. Or no, that you don't understand this person's experience with diabetes. Their sugar is perennially low and they're trying to keep their sugar up, but sometimes they overcorrect and it's a moving target and it's difficult. And there can be a lot of technical and medical testimony around diabetic accommodations. And listen, I think diabetes is a very difficult disease to grapple with emotionally. Like you have a diet that you want to eat, that you've eaten your entire life. It makes you happy. It gets you through the day. And then all of a sudden, like the doctor's like, hey, you can't do that anymore. It's going to kill you. And that's hard. Like I have a buddy who like, when we were like, I don't know, in our teens, he found out he was diabetic and he just started pounding like a dozen donuts at a time and he got super skinny because he couldn't like, his body couldn't handle it. And he was like, look at how ripped I am, and it's just like, yeah, you are killing yourself. You are killing yourself. And you're killing yourself in part because I think it's hard for you to grapple with, suddenly having this disease, which limits you so much, so I commiserate, but I, we have to acknowledge sometimes when that's going on, the employer is going to have some arguments like, hey, you knew what was going to happen if you ate those things. Why did you have 4 pieces of birthday cake at Tina's birthday party? You knew what was going to happen, and those are arguments we have to contend with as well. So you have your broad answer and then you gave your example, and the example is murkier and more subtle, but certainly I would still say you have really good arguments for accommodation. And I'm not alleging that you're doing anything like eating 3 candy bars and 4 pieces of cake at lunch. I'm not alleging that. I'm trying to give kind of ridiculous examples to illustrate the complexities of accommodation litigation around diabetes and some of the way things are kind of couched in those arguments, because it is like it's a fight of inches. Like you're fighting like, no, this person's sugar is routinely low. This eating pattern is generally effective, but because they're new to the medicine or because of the variations in their body, it doesn't always work, and that's why we need further accommodation, right? Anyways, catch in the cradle. I hope this was useful. If it was, like, subscribe, comment down below, share our channel so it can grow. Certainly, no question, people dealing with diabetes do need accommodations. Access to their insulin, access to meal breaks, things of that nature, depending on what's going on. I commiserate greatly, and I raise these issues not to like attack diabetics and be like, it's all your fault. I raise them to be like, hey, this stuff is inbound when you bring these claims, and we need to be like ready to fend it off. We need to be ready to deal with it. And you gave a lot of specificity in your hypothetical, so I thought it made some sense to give you some back. Again, like, subscribe, comment down below. It's how the algorithm sees this. It's how people see this. It helps people just like you to get answers from us, which helps us to help more people. Take care, everybody.